Hi, me, Andres. Do you remember that film I once shot in Poznan called Kopytkiem Kop? I recommend it. The problem is now I have to keep kicking with my hoof even longer. I didn't manage to kick enough with my hoof to fulfill my dream of a V4, the Molin suspension. I got it ready for the track. The moment I took it for a ride, I don't know, these must be the most expensive motorcycles in Poland, but I don't care that they're the most expensive in Poland. What I care about is how I can make it happen so I can buy one for myself someday, because it's just absurd. It's absurdity above absurdities, a dream above dreams. Ducati Torun, AF racing team which builds motorcycles at Ducati. In Torun, by the very talented hands of Łukasz and Arek. Hi! They build motorcycles, the lucky ones that the boss orders, and the boss doesn't do things halfway. Everything has to be top-notch, but slowly. So the team has already been around, if I count correctly. How long has the team been around? 6 years? 8 years? 8? The team has been around for 8 years. And it's not like Darek came in, emptied his pockets and said, all right, this is everything, put together the parts from this. No, it was step by step, moving from one model to another. And here we are. This isn't the end of the road, but now we're already on a Superbike highway. Because in front of you are motorcycles that are in Superbike specification. Just like, for example, Michel Piro rides in the Italian championships. Of course, these aren't Superbikes like the ones from the World Championship, like the factory Ducati, because all of that is a secret, but it's here with us. Simon, an Italian telemetry technician who works at Ducati course, works in the World Championship and is currently Tito Rabat's technician. And he said that you are halfway there, and halfway there in numbers costs about, and that's about 500,000 zlotys per bike. So in front of me there is 1 million zlotys worth of motorcycles, but it's not like that's exactly the price for the aluminum, for these parts, for the exhaust, for the suspensions, the electronics. This is really the price for the project, because a lot of parts had to be tested and fitted. So if you wanted to build exactly this kind of motorcycle, maybe you could save a little, but I doubt it. The question is it worth it? Is it worth it? Oh, wow, absolutely. And then some. Darek always says that it's the last second that costs you the most. Well, in my case, that last second doesn't cost quite as much, because, let's be honest, I'm an amateur. And when I try to go faster, I can shave off that second much more easily. But when it comes to racing, that 1 second is the most expensive. I finally got to feel that firsthand during the 2 days we spent here in Croatia, Grobnik, because on the first day I trained on the V4, Marco German's training motorcycle. The V4 1100 with FKR suspension, Olin's TTX suspension in the back, and Olin's FKR. Of course in the front, but really it's a stock motorcycle, just with slightly changed geometry, setup, and with racing fairing. And you know, the ride was incredible, out of this world. I rode this very motorcycle in Poznan back then, and I went crazy for it. I wanted it so much, and I really wanted it up until the moment I actually rode it. And now I really desire it. I want it so much. And this one, just standing there on the side, was already so scary, but I didn't even really look at it. The thing is, apart from the geometry is actually already set up. The frame is stock from the V4R. The engine is stock from the V4R. They don't want to change the internals. The motorcycle is simply built from the very first screw by Darek's team. That's probably why they won the #1 service award, Ducati in Poland. But the equipment, like the intake, Akrapovic, the full system, and then later the mapping, this makes the engine incredibly powerful, but at the same time much smoother compared to the 1100. The 1100 is like a rodeo. You twist the throttle and everything just happens at once. But here the power is delivered so linearly, and it's also managed by the electronics, which I'll get to in a moment, that it's just out of this world. It's just insane. 230 horsepower at the engine, over 200 horsepower at the rear wheel, and yet you're able to control it, and you feel so confident riding a machine like this. But it's really the electronics. The electronics have made a huge leap forward. I mean, they've made a huge difference, because now there's this big box here. Magneti Marelli, as you know, took over all the electronics in MotoGP 4 or 5 years ago. all of the hardware, i.e. computers and sensors from manufacturers who use theirs, said that Darca said no, and now you all use it, Magneti Marelli. And but how? Well, that's it. And to me, that's kind of an Italian style, because now Magneti Marelli basically has a monopoly on the best electronics. And when you buy Ducati course electronics, it's physically Magneti Marelli, but with the Ducati course software. So it's quite complicated. It's not easy to buy. Anyone can buy this kind of electronics, but no one will be able to use it on their own. First of all, the motorcycle has to be rebuilt to install this electronics. Look, the steering damper is in an unusual place. This motorcycle had to go to Italy for the electronics to be installed, so now Ducati finally knows how it should look. In fact, they say they even had to fix a few things after the Italians, so now they have the details, but now everything is just perfect. As a fun fact, the gauge you see here, this is exactly the same gauge that is used in MotoGP, the one you'll see on the motorcycles. All the riders use it, both factory and satellite teams. You could say that the package you see here was used in the World Championships 4 years ago. Superbike, well, but also because in Superbikes in the World Championships, in factory systems, these motorcycles are galloping ahead with development. It's a completely different machine, well, completely, maybe 50% different. It's that kind of machine. And what I find very interesting is that here, unlike in a production motorcycle, you don't have, 8 levels of traction control, a certain number of wheelie control levels, engine brake, and similar things, or throttle response. Here, you have a strategy. You have strategy A, B, or C for traction control, A, B, or C for engine braking, and A, B, or C for throttle response. So you have a technician who sits with a computer and sets the strategy for the track, and they set it up so that you have different traction control, different engine braking, and different throttle response in various parts of the track. The motorcycle uses GPS to locate itself at first. It determines its position, and then based on sensors, it also senses where it's going. So if it loses connection with the GPS, it's not a problem because it knows exactly where it is on the track. And it sets the strategy for navigating that track. It's just, absolutely mind-blowing. And how does it work? It works like this, as if it didn't work. I often say that the electronics in road motorcycles are already at a level where you really stop noticing how they function, but when I switched from that motorcycle to this one, I was just blown away. The fact is, there's now that GQ7, which often made things quite unstable, but the traction control and especially the wheelie control could kick in, so I definitely felt that it worked. Here, this motorcycle was riding here. At first, I thought I was riding too weakly, that I was going too slow for the traction control to even activate. Only later, we checked on the computer and I saw, yes, it's working. Shock, just pure shock. Quick shifter, downshifting well, you just can't downshift as fast on any other bike as you can on this one. Do you feel like you're riding in MotoGP? Except for that sound, from the Akrapovic, from all of it. It's just... The real nightmare is simply that this isn't my motorcycle, and honestly what made me sweat more was that fact it was the risk of damaging it. Not that it scared me, it's truly incredible that such a powerful motorcycle capable of going so fast, the more expensive it is, the more advanced it is, the more developed its components are, the greater the sense of safety you have. If you don't truly push the absolute limit, when I ride it, it often feels like I'm constantly fighting with the motorcycle a little bit just to simply ride it and so on, which can be quite challenging because it's insanely powerful and I really have to concentrate. But when I was riding this one, I felt like it was saying, come on, come on, come on, take it easy, come on, just a little more, just a little more. I just kept going. I even skipped the last session. I said, no, it's just too good, too much fun. I didn't really go that much faster on the lap times, but that's exactly that thing in the back of your mind compared to that. Besides, the conditions today were so-so. But for the first run here in Gromnik, I did a 34.0. Just like that, from a standstill, riding really safely, not even leaning that much on the bike. Marco German. Getting on the bike, he was riding here in these 10 degrees with the wind blowing terribly. He got on the bike, tweaked the electronics a bit, and immediately nailed it. minute 27. He said that if the conditions are good, he'll go for a 25-minute lap. It's a slaughterhouse, just a total slaughterhouse. When you look at it, how the bike is stripped down, how many sensors there are, what kind of, well, it's just already that level. No, I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying what level these bikes are at. I love them really, but honestly, I don't even know if I love these bikes more or Ducati Torun for building them. Or maybe just the fact that they let me ride them. I want to do it again. And twice and 3 times. And maybe in 10 years or 15, maybe I'll be able to afford to buy one for myself. An old one even, just to ride it from time to time, just to feel it. Yeah, good bikes, the best. Maybe the best I've ever had the chance to ride. That's why I encourage other teams to let me ride their motorcycles. I'm just excited. I'm really into modern electronics, and how it lets you ride so nicely, it's just amazing. Yeah, it's shocking. Thank you very much. I've talked enough. If anything, leave more comments because we'll be at the Ducati Torun more than once, and I hope I'll be able to share with you even more about these motorcycles. Although Simon tells me, I can't tell you this, I can't tell you that, because I was asking how this traction control works, what causes it, whether it's the throttle or the ignition. He said, I won't tell you. Maybe I'll find out someday, but at least I saw it. The tuning software for MotoGP motorcycles, whose name he also asked me to forget, along with the logo and graphics, which are really funny and related to a cartoon. I said, how is it possible that you have cartoons on such a program? He said, we're Italians, we're a bit, well, I won't say exactly how we put it. Never mind. Hi. Thank you.